That May. Together, 9 years. Living together, 6 years. Married, 4 years. Daughter, 4 years old. Separated, May. My wife and I separated back in May of this year. I received the "I think we need a break and let's take time apart to work on us" crap. We had been having issues for several months, if not a year. Both being vocal about it to each other. Naive as I was, probably still am, I responded back with, "What's the purpose of this separation? We are going to work on our relationship, right?" "Right." She responded by assuring me that we would start going on dates and pump life back into our marriage. I left the apartment. Her name was the only one on the lease and I really wanted things to cool down. Yes, big mistake. I should have checked my legal options. We were fighting constantly. But this is my wife. She wouldn't do anything wrong to me. So I thought at the time. I moved into a relative's place and have been there ever since, spending time with my daughter and sometimes with each other. Wife and I, mostly on weekends. We agreed that we wouldn't date other people, or that's what I thought. We've been intimate during our separation and enjoy each other's company. Bars, clubs, ball games, weddings, dinners, movies, but something was feeling off. It didn't feel right. She didn't want to have deep and constructive conversations about our issues, future, and marriage. She kept complaining about a lack of emotional connection, that I wasn't showing it, or was not being consistent enough. I was jumping through hoops, fellas, that was me, shooting at a moving target. We were your typical couple, ups and down, nothing that sticks out like a sour thumb, but it felt for some time that we weren't maturing as a couple. We were horrible problem solvers, held grudges, made up without addressing the core issues. She did most of the yelling, insults, while I did the withdrawing. We could probably create a list of pages of complaints about one another if we really wanted to. I am not the most affectionate individual in the world. She's got anger problems, just to name a couple. No physical abuse, addiction, and certainly no physical infidelity that I knew of at the time. Intimacy was becoming an issue. We weren't jackrabbits, but things were okay in the past. It certainly tailed off back in May. Yes, red flag. Since moving out, I've gone through all the stages: self-blame, denial, acceptance, anger, passing depression. I sought IC weekly ever since. Went hard at the gym for the first 3 months. Dropped off. Spent months reading books, talking to people in my situation, talking to relatives. During the time of the separation, I have done serious self-reflection, addressing the BS that I brought to the table. I lie, stupid lies. I withdraw at times. I kept my emotions in, instead of being vocal. Moody sometimes. Never established proper boundaries. Nice guy is referred to in the No More Nice Guy book. I am by no means the perfect husband, and many of her beefs with me are valid. My wife used the time to blame me for everything, party on occasion, and distance herself from this marriage bit by bit. After I left, flags were all over the place: password on phone, keeping phone at arm's length, constant blame shifting, rewriting of relationship history, shady behavior, limited affection and intimacy. Not the pre-separation norm. Discovery of an emotional or physical affair occurred during the summer. I discovered a text on her phone from her coworker stating, "I love you." I showed her what I found and she went ballistic in anger. After showing indifference to her response, she went the crying route, pleading we address our relationship via marriage counseling. I demanded and she said yes. I didn't verify folks and there was no transparency. 2x4 worthy for sure. 2 weeks later she sat me down for dinner and wanted to reinvest and commit back into the marriage. You guessed it. I went along for the ride and signed up for MC in early August. During the sessions it was a one-side bash fest. No core issues were discussed, even though I tried to steer the sessions in that direction. It was painful. I would leave the sessions shaken. I was a glutton for punishment and stayed the course till late September. Why wasn't MC working? Yup, the coworker was still on the scene. I was late posting my story, but I've seen what you guys have done for other people. I'm hoping for the same. I am not trying to get my wife back. I want to work on me. I don't hate my wife. I wish her the best of luck. I am letting her go. It's about my daughter and I right now. I let her cake eat. I allowed myself to be a doormat. I did not put my foot down. This is all on me. I'm no victim. I allowed her to do this before and during our separation. Now it's time to do something different. I want to understand what happened and prevent it from happening again. I'm going to continue recording my journey. I want you guys to come along for the ride. I know I'm not out of the woods yet. Had the most productive day at work in a long time. Felt really good about myself. Stayed focused, something I've had issues with in the immediate past. Got a message from my little girl later in the day telling me that she and her mom were at a Christmas event. I returned the call but didn't get an answer. Not fretting it though, it was an overall good day. Appetite is coming back. Just need to get my ass back in the gym. Lost about 20 pounds during this mess, mostly muscle. Step by step, it was so for months. I would coast through assignments without much detail and effort. There was not any motivation to go that extra step, and it showed. I was a zombie in the office, didn't do much socializing, and just wallowed in self-pity. Fortunately for me, I had a superior who was very understanding, had dealt with our situation before. That helped guide me along the way. Hopefully, you can avoid a similar rut in your case, because as I have come to find out, it's very therapeutic to dive into your work and be productive. My superior kept stating, start off with the small, build momentum and go from there. It took me some time to catch on, but I'm there now. Hopefully, that helps some in your situation. Man, I've wasted so much time and energy into our situation that the fuel tank meter is way past empty. Honestly, I'm not at the point of indifference, but I am at a point where things she says or does matter less and less. Logic is catching up to my emotions. Wife sends me a link to rescue your relationship from depression. Don't let your loved one's depression get in the way of a healthy partnership. What in the hell is the point? To get a reaction from me. Mind you, I have never suffered a depression. I've gone through ruts, but a depression. Obviously, there is more work to do. Neither of us has filed. Single dads don't have much pull here as long as there isn't any criminal or drug activity involving the mother. We both make good incomes and have stable jobs. I have consulted with a legal counsel, and the best I could ever get is joint custody. New York law basically dictates that she can do as she pleases as long as our daughter is not in physical harm. I have tried reasoning with her in regard to having other men around with our daughter present, and all it has gotten me is kids are resilient. Mind you, this woman works helping kids, but is not helping her own. It's been a rough day. Surreal, though it was her choice to discontinue our relationship and has done everything to make me despise her. I still long to be a family during the holidays, though we opened presents this morning at my place. It felt superficial and staged. She wants us to have unconditional love with each other, but her actions speak otherwise. Detachment is what I have strived for and becoming better at it, even in the face of backlash, insults and telephone hang-ups on her part. She lashed out, I need to move on from you, just a week ago. Weird. Yesterday she was enraged because she was not invited to my family gathering on Christmas Eve, throwing it in my face that she was spending it alone. I doubt that. I refrained from extending an invite anyway. After the opening of gifts and goodbyes this morning, I saw DD4 and wife step into other man's car a few minutes later, an avenue away from my place. In order not to be seen, it stung, knowing that another man is spending most of Christmas with my daughter. Couldn't shake the feeling the entire day. If the shoe was on the other foot, I'm sure there would be hell to pay. I'm playing it cool for the most part, dealing with my strong emotional reactions on my own. Getting a little better each day. Better days ahead if I claim them, but rough one today. My plan is to get myself in a better place than the one I am now. I see stated tonight that my self-worth was shot during the separation. During the session I felt like I was pressing rewind on the past 8 months in my head. I wanted to punch myself for letting it play out the way it did. I didn't do any begging, crying or pleading, but I sure as hell devalued myself in other ways. Whether she crashes or not isn't any of my concern. I hope she finds the happiness she seeks. God knows I wasn't the perfect mate. We both could learn from this. What I need to do is learn how to establish the proper boundaries to prevent those manipulative tactics she's so good at using. Though she thinks I'm indifferent to her, I am not. She searches for weak spots on occasion. Happy, believe me, no more trying to fix other people. During the separation I tried to address our marital issues and she would harp, it's all your fault. You did this to us. Too little too late. You conned me. I will not invest any more energy into this relationship. We are only married legally. And when she noticed that I was drifting away she would harp, you are not doing enough to win your wife back. You don't love me. You don't call enough. You don't ask how I am doing. I need you to man up. I don't want to lose you. I don't know how I survived it. Major setback. Wow, I feel like I was TKO by a heavyweight. Dumbest argument over nonsense. Lost my cool and called her selfish. That opened up the floodgates to more bashing. I started off by texting, I'm sorry you feel this way. And it went downhill from there. So much for detachment. This is freaking tough. At this time, I have my daughter on weekends and try to talk to her over the phone on a daily basis. She is constantly asking me if I'm going to visit them. It pains me to say no. I feel like a part-time dad. I try to value every second that I spend with her, but it feels like it's not enough. Most likely my insecurities, but it still sucks. I am a child of divorce, and though I feel I came out okay, it destroyed my sibling. I don't have my own place yet. Dee Dee spends Saturdays and Sundays with me. Not seeing her every day wrecks me to pieces. Everyone says it gets better. I don't know how it could in that aspect. Living with a relative in New York City, paying off all my debt and close to doing so. I need as much disposable income to live here. STBX is buried in debt. She's a spender, already complaining about cost. I'm giving what I am supposed to, not a penny more. What's mind-boggling is that together we were financially strong, and now she's choosing to live on one income with some money support for our daughter. Spending as always with little regard and burying herself into a deeper hole. I guess that shouldn't be my worries right now. but it does affect our daughter, as we do on a weekly basis. The ex and I took our daughter to her dance class. It went well and we grabbed lunch. Daughter was in a great mood. Being together brings that in her. Daughter constantly asked if I was coming over after lunch. I declined but told her she would be with me the next 3 days. Ex commented that 3 days in a row seemed excessive. I didn't budge, but not in a rude way. She commented that like Xmas Eve, she would be spending New Year's alone. I went Barry Sanders over the comment. She turned her attention to a wedding that I am attending next week and asked if I was going with someone I don't know. I replied, avoiding the trap. I made sure the conversation stayed as pleasant as possible and succeeded for the most part. Messed up a tad when she requested for more emotional connection, more contact, and a little more acknowledgement. I did a little explaining, then stopped myself when I noticed what I was doing. Wasn't picture perfect, but a few months back I would have invited myself to her place. Try to manipulate reactions from her, and do other foolish things that would assure her that I am in the palm of her hands. Picked up my daughter at her place this morning. The bombardment of questions ensued. Are you seeing someone? It's okay if you tell me. It won't bother me. Is she nice? Does she look good? It's my business to know. Do I know her? Are you physically active right now? I responded, I'm not comfortable having this discussion. It's none of your business. Politely as possible. Cool, dispassionate and firm. She started following me around the apartment as I was getting daughter ready for departure. Tried to sit on my lap. Tried to kiss me in the mouth. Asked me if she thought I looked good to her. Daughter made mention that other man was with them last night. Didn't faze me one bit. Stayed focused on my daughter. Not a care in the world, or at least that was my display. Wife started getting nastier. Tell me. I need to know. You are a coward for not telling me. We should start getting the paperwork ready. I simply stated, I agree. She said it to get a reaction from me, knowing how I hate and feared divorce a few months back. Didn't give her the satisfaction of any emotions to her comment. I wished her a happy new year, gave her a hug, and we departed ways. She called tonight under the disguise of checking up on our daughter. Had to hang up at some point. I don't like hanging up on people, but she won't respect the fact I don't want to discuss that portion of my life with her. I don't ask you, don't ask me. I don't want to be a jerk, but respect my wishes. Now she's saying that stress is giving her stomach issues, that I'm playing head games with her, that I'm causing her anxiety and frustration. You truly enjoy messing with me. I hope you are getting a kick out of making me go crazy in my head. And no, I'm not seeing anyone, but she is. This is a sick and selfish person. I'm not getting a kick out of this. I want to say, no, I'm not seeing anyone, but I'd be falling back on my principles. She has lied about everything. I discovered pictures of them back in November holding each other in her email titled, Date Night. She lied to me about him, my parents, and even our counselor. I don't believe a thing that comes out of her mouth. I stopped asking questions a little more than a month ago. Last time I brought them up, she stated, I have never met a man like him before. Daughter keeps bringing him up as he's now with them most of the time. Annoyed as all hell. Wife is upset at me that I have been ignoring her and not reaching out. She had a minor medical procedure done and feels I haven't contacted her enough. She also asked why I didn't seek out her whereabouts for Nye as she spent it alone. I doubt that. Whatever, those are her problems, not mine. I was with my daughter and my mother at a family friend's place. Small social gathering for New Year's Day. It was good times, but it didn't last long. Wife showed up to pick up daughter. I wanted to have daughter ready at the front door, but she insisted on greeting everyone. Didn't greet me, as she's annoyed. Family and friends treated her well, as they have always. These people supported her back in the day when her own family turned their backs on her. I attempt to get daughter ready to quicken their departure, but she requests to speak to my mother about her medical condition. I knew nothing good could come out of this. I leave to grab some things at my apartment. I take my time as to avoid seeing her again. When I get back, my mother, the mother she never had, as she has said many times, tells me about their discussion. They discussed the medical issues, but it quickly turned into me not caring enough. Mother explained that I and everyone else know you are seeing someone. Wife returned with, he's just a friend. My mother ignored it and stated, it's not OP's job to care for you in that manner anymore. You have your friend for that now. Wife then tried to say that I was seeing someone. Mother rebuffed the idea, stating that I'm still getting my stuff together and that she doubted I was seeing someone. I am annoyed that they were having this type of discussion. I had a talk with my mother to refrain from discussing matters about us with her. She means well, but I know what the wife is trying to do. These things never end clean. She has our daughter on most days. She has her friend and must be having a fun affair. She is the dumper. She kept the place and furniture. She's mad and angry. I'm the person that should be mad and angry, and I'm not. Things don't make any sense. Forgot to mention, this past Saturday, I went out with a few buddies. Had a great time, met and socialized with several people. Made a connection with a woman, shared laughs, exchanged stories and contact information. Not pursuing anything with this woman, but it felt great to feel like me again. My friends commented how relaxed and alive I looked. Small step, but feeling great. As I write this, received an email from the wife with concerns about our daughter drinking soda and eating Fruit Loops this past weekend. She also addressed consistency in the way we raise our daughter. I'm sure I could bring up a few things as well. Good times. She emailed me yesterday concerning my mother's impressions of her and her situation with her co-worker friend. Like stated in a prior post, I didn't want them having a conversation about us. She doesn't want anyone getting the impression that an broke us up, that it was our dysfunctional relationship that did us in. I of course fed into the stupidity by explaining that while we were in counseling, she had another individual in the weeds, while attempting to solve our problems. Issues. How could we concentrate on us if she was entertaining another man? How could she be going on dates, texting and emailing another individual during this span and not realize the harm it was causing? She of course rationalized everything, stating that she went to MC because she loved me, that she was hoping to see fireworks during our separation that never came. Though she saw certain improvements, it wasn't enough. She's disappointed how I approached her medical issues. She fumed about the lack of reaching out to her. She was hospitalized because of stomach issues caused by stress a couple of weeks ago. She is blaming it on our situation. Though I called and texted asking for her well-being, it wasn't enough. That my indifference, distance and coldness has her seeing me in a new light. That I have shown my true colors. That I never really cared about her. In circles and around we went. It helped me realize something. She's dumb, I am dumber. It's almost game time, fellas. Attending a co-worker's wedding tonight. Some people know of my situation and some don't. The ones that don't will be in shock. I'll be assigned to their table and most, if not, all are married couples. Big test. I am both nervous and excited at the same time. I'm very social with people I know but shy with people I don't. I know that I'll ultimately decide what type of night I have, so I'll try and focus on having fun and enjoy my time with great company. I'm a nervous wreck. I went alone but had a great time. Friends that were sympathetic and made me feel comfortable. Socialized and met new people. Awesome experience. Being alone didn't bother me one bit. Took my daughter to the movies with a friend and her kid yesterday. A friend being she, platonic, no interest at all. Had a fabulous time and my daughter really enjoyed the movie. Dropped daughter at her mom's place, said hi, and I took off. Wife caught wind of the play date and the questioning then started via text. She had the nerve to say, if a woman is going to be spending time with you and our daughter, I think I should meet and get to know her. Felt like I was taking crazy pills. This morning I had to drop off some stuff for our daughter and she asked me to come in. The lion's den it felt like. She talked and talked. I just listened. Some insults, putting me down, called me a hypocrite for being in a relationship, criticized me for not reaching out. I just listened, without much emotions, calling me smug. She said I looked happy and that I didn't care about her. I reiterated over and over again that if she needed my help or wanted to share stuff about her health, all she needed to do was ask or request it. I refused to do any finger pointing and throw things in her face, as she called it, taking the high road. She went back to asking about yesterday's playdate and just assumed that I was seeing someone and commented that she was taking things to the next level. I guess in reference to her friend. I didn't respond to that. I gave her a hug and once again said, if you need help with anything, simply ask. I mentioned during our conversation that our relationship can serve as a learning experience for us both. She said it was heartbreaking to hear that. I'm going to continue being kind, as what she says to me have lost a lot of value. I'm getting too indifferent. I can feel it. Sometimes I wonder, is it better to have a walk-away spouse who's completely finished, shuts you out entirely, or one who still fishes for some sort of emotional connection? Depends on your mindset, I guess. If you haven't moved on, I'm sure the second example would be a complete mind duck. But if you are in a good place within yourself and know not to take it all that seriously, you can at least recognize that the person doing the fishing cares just a tad, in their own ducked-up way. I am still getting bombarded with text and emails, not paying them much mind. I am just happy I have reached some sense of self-control and awareness to recognize her intentions. I still care for the woman, even though she's changed, at least towards me, but I am certainly disconnecting to the point where it's pissing her off. Not with the intention of any kind of malice, but to survive and become a healthy and sane young man again. It's time for an update. The flu got a hold of me this past week, still battling it. That along with extra work has preoccupied my mind. Can't complain as it's been a good distraction. A week ago, the wife went away for the weekend and spoke to a lawyer. They discuss, as she explained to me, the key points in finalizing the end of our marriage: custody plans, assets, child support, and reason for divorce. We are in agreement with most issues with the exception of the childcare support. She's having financial hardship, as she put it, mentioning that she might have to cut the cable and wants more financial help. I have run the figures and I am paying what I am supposed to. She claims she's not trying to screw me over. That if she was, she would request that I pay a portion of her student loan debt, go after property owned by mother. I helped her pay for them, and my savings. During the course of our relationship, I stressed that we focus on getting out of debt. She was lax with hers, while I have nearly taken care of mine. We started off owing roughly the same amount, but she finds herself now in the same financial situation 5 years later. Towards the end of the discussion, she says, "Is this what you want?" referring to the divorce. She goes to see a lawyer without giving me a heads up and is asking me that question. Of course, the following day she emails bombs me about me taking this news all too well. That I must be seeing someone and have replaced her. I had a play date as I posted a few weeks back, and suddenly in her eyes, I'm in a relationship. Projection at its best. Going back to the key points, she doesn't have much to go on. I won't be paying her debt, I won't be paying more in support, and she won't crack my savings. If she makes an attempt, I'll go after her pension, which is much better than mine. I'll put that one in my back pocket. Everything else is status quo. She's still lying about her friend to everyone, and I'm having the time of my life with my daughter. Wife asks constantly if I'm happy, and indeed I am. The focus I put into trying to repair our marriage has been transferred to laser-like focus on myself and my daughter. Every time I am with DD4, she has my undivided attention. It's gotten to the point that her mother has requested that we ease up on our activities together, as DD4 might consider time with her downtime. Wife claims she's not happy and asked a few days ago if I wanted her to move on. That she's not over me. I just shook my head, not in confusion but in pity. It didn't need to be this way. She attempted to be intimate with me this past week and I denied her request. Who has this person become? Is she that confused? This divorce won't solve any of our problems. It'll just continue to create a whole slew of new ones. It didn't have to be this way. But I am done trying to explain that to her. God, I'm beginning to utterly despise this woman. Via text she informs me that she's leaving DD4 with me for a week in March. Tells me, not asks, not even a conversation. She can do as she pleases, don't get me wrong, but considering my work commute, it's a burden. She definitely knows this. Dropping off and picking up DD4 from pre-K is going to be nearly impossible on my own. Considerations go out the window, I guess. I don't even know how to respond. Then there is the complaining about money and how she's getting the short end of the stick. She is most likely taking a vacation with her friend and complaining about money. I don't know how to go about this. It infuriates me. Life must be great in piece of crap land. I'm basically working long hours, getting my stuff together, and dealing with the ups and downs alone. I try to keep a positive outlook on things, but then there are moments like this that I wonder, what in the hell happened? I'm doing the best to keep focused on my goals, but the journey to attain them are daunting as hell. Maybe in the long run it is what is best for all of us. Learn and experience all of this on our own, and then we'll be ready for whatever when the time comes. Another drama-filled weekend. When will it end? As you guys and gals know, the East was pummeled with a blizzard this weekend. Though it is inconvenient for some, it presents a great opportunity for children, as they love snow. Earlier in the week, the wife and I had agreed that I would pick up D4 from daycare this past Friday. I of course was looking forward to it. As the day approached, the wife expressed concern about the conditions. She didn't want me going out of my way to pick up my daughter. I expressed that I didn't have any issues, no matter what the conditions were. She in turn calls me a bully and a typical man. That I only want my daughter around me because I am seeing someone with a child. Again, not true, and when it conveniences me, she's upset that I didn't take my daughter to a Super Bowl party the Sunday before. My reasoning being that I was going to get back home late and the day after was a school day. She didn't think that was a good enough reason. In truth, she wanted to go to her own party. When I get to her place, she wants to discuss the dissolution of our marriage. I agree to have the conversation and we discuss the main topics. It was pretty cordial with some flare-ups. She doesn't like the fact that I am taking this a little too calmly, though it pains me. There is no way I'm going to let her see it. She stressed that we be friends for D4's sake. She also mentions that every time she sees me, she cries after I leave. It didn't have to be this way. On Saturday, I got together with some parents who have children my daughter's age, and we treat the kids to a whole range of snow activities. It was awesome. All the kids were able to enjoy themselves with some bobsledding, creating a horrible snowman, and some snow throwing. Why would the wife not want to participate in these types of activities even though we are where we are boggles my mind. Though every time I even consider inviting her, I think a few months back to her saying we can't do stuff together as it will only confuse D4. Like having another man around my child isn't confusing her enough. Afterwards, we head to one of the parents' home to have hot chocolate. It was painful hearing the parents being in sync, discussing their children and how they would collectively work together to give their kids the best future possible. I sat there in silence, wanting to grab a drink or disappear. We then went to a family function. They all adore my daughter, and it's great to know that she'll always have some semblance of family after the dust settles. My wife's family is as dysfunctional as they come. I hope that on weekends I can expose her to some stability. Then Sunday comes around and the real drama begins. So, on Sunday, my wife asked me to have a sit-down with my cousin. My wife has been concerned that I have been spreading untrue gossip to family and friends about her. She feels that, because people are no longer reaching out to her in my circle, that I must be spreading lies about her situation. She doesn't want people thinking that she left me for another man. She fails to realize that her actions are doing all the talking for her. I agree to the sit down. We both think highly of my cousin as she is well versed in giving solid advice. She was in a similar situation with her husband a year ago and feels that she could help. She and her husband were able to overcome a dire situation after a brief falling out. The discussion started off amicable. We spoke about our issues, anger and resentment. We both took turns discussing where we felt our problems stemmed from. I was quick to own up to my flaws. I don't mind sharing that. I wasn't as affectionate as she would have wanted, told dumb lies earlier in our relationship, and I withdraw at times. She brought up her misgivings but always gave a reason for it. She would mention something like partying too much but always made an excuse, i.e., I was miserable at home so I went out. To this day, she won't own up to the problems that she caused. Something made her act, say something. She was never one to apologize. It's like pulling teeth for her. She complained about her insecurities when being around me, that I didn't put her on a pedestal. I feel like I could have done a better job at acknowledging her more. As stated previously, I am not the most affectionate person in the world. It's something that I could have put more effort in. I own that. I played a hand in her insecurities by not complimenting her enough. We went back and forth. My cousin at a point put a stop to it, saying, "You both could have done things better. You are like most couples. These are things that could be worked on." Wife stated that I had a character trait that would prevent me from becoming the person that she needs me to be. I responded that it's fine. I want to continue to be me. She goes on a tangent that I never loved her, that I don't want her back, that I didn't beg her during our separation, that I didn't cry, that I didn't drunk dial her, that I would go days without asking how she was doing. She explained that she wanted fireworks during our separation. I countered that fireworks would only be a temporary solution, that we would eventually be in the same place if we didn't address and work our core issues, that the fireworks could have come afterwards. We spoke about parenting someone, and that's when third parties were brought up. Wife immediately states that I am seeing someone. She called this imaginary person a bee, that I finally have found someone of my own race and that I must be happy and content. It's the reason why I am so happy. Shaking my head. Truthfully, I am happy because I am no longer worried about the course of the marriage and really enjoying the time I get to spend to my daughter. This woman insists that you can only be happy if you're with someone. When the focus goes back her, she gets defensive, irate, and snarky. She admits that her coworker is in love with her, that he is around for support, only a friend. My cousin quickly picks up on this as she states, "Why are you having this man around your daughter when you are still married and have unresolved issues with OP? You work in the school system as a person who works with kids. How would you advise a parent in your situation?" She replied, "Follow your heart." My cousin was baffled. My cousin then asks, "Are you pursuing a relationship with this man?" Wife replies, "I'm not even thinking about that." Then my cousin asks, "Why then do you have this man in your daughter's life?" I felt like was watching a train wreck. She doesn't know what to say. I mention what she told me back in November, that this guy 3 months previously showed her what type of man she wanted to be with. I add that 3 months prior was when we started marriage counseling, and when she sat me down wanting to reconcile. She started getting angry and uncomfortable. Her stories weren't adding up. She wanted to get sympathy from my cousin and she was losing it. We break for a bit at my wife's request. She starts crying and states that she is still in love with me, that she goes to sleep thinking of me and wakes up thinking of me. Yes, I know. At that point, she requests that we stop in order to get D4 home because tomorrow was a school day. At that point, my daughter refuses to depart from me. She's wrapped around my leg. My wife claims that she doesn't want to leave because the TV is on. This idiot, I'm sorry, can't realize that she doesn't want to leave her father. Eventually, after some consoling, she unwraps herself from me and goes off with her mother. My cousin and I spoke afterwards and she said, "I feel for her. She's her own worst enemy and she doesn't even know it. She's being selfish and isn't considering her daughter because she is caught up in her own crap. You need to remove yourself completely from that woman before she brings you down with her. She loves you in her own sick way, but you need to cut your losses." I had never known her to be a liar. Wow, she is going to crash soon enough. Don't be around when it happens. Today she texted my cousin questioning whether I was lying about seeing someone. Her claims were immediately rebuffed. She told her, "Going forward, regroup isn't responsible for the image in the eyes of people. You're." She also texted me that I shouldn't have said some of things that I said, that it wasn't cool, that some of it should be left between her and I. She wanted me to clear her name. It only made her look worse. Just learned that my wife invited my mother to a Valentine's dinner on Thursday. Things can't get stranger. I can guess what her true intentions are. I don't want to give off the impression that she was a bad wife or ever a bad mother. Things were definitely rocky before our separation. We tried to communicate that to each other but got nowhere. But what is going on now is straight nonsense. She texted me yesterday in regard to our relationship and I responded, our marriage is dead. Let's focus on D4 and she was somehow offended by it. She complains that we lost our connection. I don't know what couple maintains a connection when they're not spending time together or have some type of third-party involvement. Weeks later, paperwork is in. I'm not nervous or excited. The exchange. STBX, quick question. In terms of claiming D4 on taxes. You said that I could claim her this year. Will this be standard for me every year? I believe the primary caretaker should be the claimer. STBX, okay, agreed. Can we meet this weekend so you can view and approve the paperwork? I want to run it by my attorney first. I'm not going to approve it until it's reviewed. STBX, should I send it to you via email then? Yes. STBX, I meant meeting so I could give you the paperwork, not for you to read it and sign it and that's it, just in case you wanted to talk about anything, but I will send it to you via email. My lawyer isn't in her office till Monday, so give us 48 hours to sign or counter, latest by Thursday or Friday. STBX, I'm sure your girlfriend will be very happy. Everything that you have asked for is there. Send it so that I can look at it. Surreal. Well, it turns out that STBX went pour me over to my mother yesterday. My mother arranged for D4 to be looked after today, rescued and enabled again. I had a talk with moms and told her that I was not okay with that. Everything concerning D4 goes through me now. She wants me out of her life. All of my resources go along with it. STBX is looking into PhD programs in the fall while working full-time. Reality will bite. Waiting for my lawyer to respond. I want to write and send a scathing email blasting this woman for all of her BS. Wake her the duck up. I know she won't. Tell her off to leave me alone. Calling the imaginary girlfriend she made up. Calling me a crappy dad, all while complaining a few weeks back that D4 and I were doing too many fun activities together. Calling me a bully. Calling me a coward because I wouldn't discuss my relationship status. Calling me a liar, when it turns out her entire life is a lie at this moment. Complaining that I didn't visit her when she was hospitalized. Complaining that I don't provide emotional support. Telling me, keep her name out of my mouth, and a week later she's having conversations with people that I moved on quick. Demands that I tell her where I am. Bashes me in front of D4 and then retracts the statement and words it like she said it in another way. I want to let loose. I have avoided this woman for about a month. Haven't seen her. She comes late to pick up D4. I bounce. I won't send anything, but it's kind of unfair that I can't tell this person off. Tell her what I and a few other people feel about her. She's seeing someone and then asks me if I want her to move on. What kind of deranged person is this? I want to tell her off. Cool, dispassionate, and firm only pisses her off some more. Feels like I have taken a step back. My comment. Part 2 coming today. Enjoy your day and the final